Unmuted.
Thank you. Okay. We are here today for the City of Fort Orange and the International Union of Police Associations negotiations. It is Friday, July 19th at 3:03.
Good. How are you doing?
So we have one item for negotiations for the current PBA, and that is for Article 29 retirement. At this time, I am able to present to the membership two offers. Offer number one would be for Tier 1 members who are employed and not participating in the drop on the effective date of the ordinance will be eligible for the supplemental benefit commonly referred to as the health subsidy upon completing 20 years of accredited service. That's offer number one. Offer number two, I can provide Tier 2 members who are employed and not participating in the drop on the effective date of the ordinance will be eligible for a 3% COLA deferred to age 59 upon attaining 25 years of accredited service. As I stated previously, once, and obviously yesterday we postponed this meeting simply because you had a request, PBA had a request. I needed to do one before the other, so I appreciate you doing that for me. But for this, because part of it was an actuarial study done by Mr. Little and then GRS, all at October 1st of 22, it would require me to do an updated cost impact study as of October 1st of 2023. Do you agree with that, Brian? That I would have to do an updated study. So I have already discussed with the police pension chair this, and that he has already spoken with Mr. Little about once this is all approved, we would try and get this completed within 30 days. I still am very, hopefully hopeful that we can get this wrapped up before September 30th or the first meeting on the ordinance side. Wrapped up by the first meeting in October. So still very optimistic that this can get done in a reasonable amount of time, if agreed upon. So that's what I have at this time that's open for negotiations.
Excellent. Thank you for the offer.
I have a question here, reference to 29.2B1. Tier 2 members who are employed and not participating in the drop on the effective date of the ordinance will be eligible for a 3% COLA deferred to age 59 upon attaining 29 years of service. So they have to have both 25 years of service and the age 59 in order to draw the COLA.
That's correct. So just one first reading on Tuesday would be normal retirement is at 20 years of creditable service. So for this portion, it's an added benefit that if you work an additional 5 years, the city would like to extend the COLA at 3%. And again, I know you're going to take this back, so I don't expect, being told anything else on that today.
Yeah, we're not in a position to agree to an offer today. Let's take it back to the membership and see what they say. At what point will the numbers for the study be able to be attained?
Yes, sir. So I met with the city attorney's office this morning. There were quite a few things done in there. They're looking at what portion, can I provide all of it or a portion of it? So some of it was not applicable to today's meeting, so I'm waiting on that answer.
Okay.
As soon as I have it, I promise within half a day or less, I will forward it lock, stock, and barrel.
Okay. You guys have anything?
John, you were about to say something about you started to say something, we cut you off.
I don't remember.
I've lost it.
No, I think we covered everything.
this does not affect the health subsidy being counted as part of the cap,
That
correct?
is correct.
And last question.
Yes, sir.
Tier 2 members are not eligible for this health subsidy at all.
That's not true.
Well, I thought that.
Yes, it's got a tier. So the tier 1 people and the tier 2 individuals have different amounts.
Right.
But only the tier 1 bumping it down to the 20 years and maintaining the tier 2, which you did not have one,
Right.
would get the COLA at, I'm sorry, we were talking health subsidy.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, my
I'm
apologies.
sorry, A1.
Yep. Tier 1 people would be pushed to 20 years, tier 2 people would maintain at the 25.
Tier 2 health subsidy at 25. My understanding is that tier 2 health subsidy, $100 at 10 years of service.
I don't have it in front of me, but it's I want to say it's capped at 400 versus 600, but I can come back to you with that amount.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the tier 2 health subsidy doesn't get pushed up to 25 years, because my understanding is, and I don't have the language in front of me right now, is the benefit starts with 10 years of credited service
That is correct.
for the health subsidy.
Yes, sir, we're not changing the calculation of how much or when it is applicable for the tier 2. None of that changes at all.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, but it's hard to say much without the numbers, right?
I think that's going to be it's hard to
I
have an
understand.
opinion without having the numbers, right? So-
Absolutely, and like I said, I want to make sure that I give you what you need and not everything that we looked at as part of the negotiation, because that can still be used in the near future.
I can tell you the general consensus I'm getting from my membership is, with the enhanced benefits of the 20-year retirement, they want to try to get that benefit package retirement all within that 20 years of service. I know that we're saying that we're very appreciative of the cost of living adjustment, 25 years of service being an enhanced benefit, but the consensus from my membership is they want to try to get that at 20 years. So obviously that's something we can discuss once we get the numbers, but it's hard to.
Absolutely, and I will share with you the exact same thing that was discussed this morning. I was not here,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure how many of y'all were here prior to 2012. But I know that there were changes made to the pensions across all public safeties here in the city and a lot of other agencies. Council, as you've heard on the dais more than one time, are very concerned about going back to pre-2011 and potentially putting our plans in a position that they cannot be financially sustainable. And that is not what we want. So we want to make sure that when the Andes start and we say, here you go, sir, here's your benefit, we do not want to come back again to what was done in prior years and say, we've got to retract what your benefit is.
Certainly understand.
Yeah, so, so I don't want to be that guy that sits here and has to do that. So I believe what the offer is maintains this plan in a financially sustainable position today, tomorrow, and until the very far future. Okay?
Excellent. Anything else? All right.
Okay, so we can conclude the portion that is open for negotiation this year. As we previously stated, there were certain items that we might want to discuss as it revolves around an MOU. Not to be rushed or anything, but again, still want to, as we talked about, considering it so that we can get it no later than the second meeting of September for an October 1st. The first item that I would like to talk about, and this just came up, under Article 5, strikes and lockouts, something to look at, and again, we can pass this to next year or when it's a full opener, but then there's been changes in statute and case law regarding strikes, et cetera, that we did as PBA as a full opener. That entire article is stricken in its entirety. So again, our city attorney states that we could go forward today, tomorrow, whenever for that, because it really no longer applicable. Hours of work and overtime. Okay, it's just a basic same thing, but, I talked about Article 5 strikes. So when it comes to, potentially revising 15.9, and speaking with, admin, we would still be willing to offer, certain key overtime detail events at a time and a half, guarantee. The 4 listed here: Spring Brew and Food Festival, July 4th celebration, and the reason why I put July 4th celebration, what happens if we do it on the 1st or the 5th? I'm not saying we are, but just in case, if it's rained out, something. The Port Orange Family Days, that goes over several days, and the annual Christmas parade. I do know that you previously made the mention of, what about someone that, has to hold over or whatnot? Well, first off, or called in, we believe that already in the union agreement, if it's a mandatory call in, whatnot, that's already covered, and that's at time and a half. We, between the chief, HR director and I, we're totally on board with that. If it has to do with, holding over because you have to stay over for a 15-20 minute, report or a later rest, well then, except for maybe a couple of weeks out of the year, that should follow under just normal, Department of Labor standards, the FLSA 7K exemption regarding, hours of work. You're in an 84-hour pay period, and if you work over the 84 hours in those 14-day cycle, then it's already at time and a half for any extra hours. The other item is, if it's a holiday week, well, if you're staying an extra 15 minutes on those holidays worked, you got the time and a half already, and I believe that we're covering some of the other items, we're guaranteeing time and a half. So we're not willing at this time to make any other changes to the overtime details or holdovers, excuse me. Then on Article 19, okay, again, okay. Article 19, again, I apologize, I didn't know how many people would be in here. Oh, gotcha, thank you. So for Article 19, as we looked on it the other day, again, we've been going back and forth on bereavement leave with all the other unions, is looking at Article 19, changing that from other leave to bereavement leave. When you go in here and you look at it, what's currently in there is item 19.1, FMLA. That's very clear, covered by federal law. It's already in there in much greater detail in civil service policy and procedure, and it's in quite a bit of detail in general administrative policy 1-22. So, I mean, it is much more enhanced, and the fact that it's a federal law, already covered. 19.2 military leave, exact same scenario. It's federal law, and it's covered in much greater detail under civil service policies and procedures. 19.3, striking what is in there, but giving a lot more detail, in the new, bereavement leave section. And then where we talked about previously, if, Andy, your, best friend from high school, something unfortunately happened to him, and you wanted to attend his funeral, that's just scheduled request for time off. You know, so the only difference is bereavement leave is a benefit given to the employee at no, cost to that employee's accruals versus, you know, leave to go to someone else's funeral, and I've done that myself. It would just already be, utilizing any sick or vacation leave that you might have on the books. 19.4, reading that, and I remember that at length, and it was just, you know, just where it was put. That really does belong under the hours worked and overtime, article. So seeing that we're looking to, you know, strengthen up, time and a half, and we're gonna open that up, just looking to, you know, move that there as well, because that truly is where it belongs. The leave of absence, sections 19.5, 19.6, and 19.7, really should be a standalone article. And so, Michelle and my statement to that is, if there's, you're not looking to remove any of it, Andy, would just literally be, you know, its own, is so that, you know, if, you know, when we go to look at the Article 5, you know, if that's, you know, y'all, you know, concur with, our statement, we could just slide everything there, and that would, Article 5 just become the leave of absence article. Okay? 19.8 and 19, and I caught this a while ago, there's a, scrivener's error, there's two 19.8s, so that's gotta be fixed anyway. I'd have to go back anyway and look at, you know, it might already be covered in there that I can, if it's a scrivener's error, y'all, I can just fix that, and we can agree that that was supposed to be a 19.9. But all of those two items, because it's talking about educational leave, that should also be included in Article 27, training and tuition. You know, that's why it's, you know, so even though it's stricken on here, not technically removing it, it's just putting it somewhere else, so that that would be strictly the bereavement article. Okay? And then I know that we previously talked about the workers' compensation, and we just said that we were gonna let that be our article for next year. So theoretically, you know, we'll decide that later, but we weren't gonna do anything at this time with that.
Exactly, because it's too rushed for us.
Yes, sir. That's gonna take a little bit of time. Okay. So if, so on what I've stated for the Article 19, you know, if we're not gonna do anything on the Article 5, then I would just say, you know, if y'all agree on the bereavement leave, I could add that in there, because that was, actually, that bereavement article, each one of those paragraphs are actually a separate, subpart. So if you were to agree to the 19.1 and 19.2 being stricken, then I would just get that all in there, and we would do that as an MOU.
I need Brian to look it over.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll step out. I'll stop the recording.
Is that light on? How did that happen? That's annoying. All right, hold on.
Yes, sir. Ready? Okay, thank you for the.
Are we
break.
ready? We're not ready. Hold on. I don't know how this light turned on. And we're live. We are live.
You obviously don't know me.
Ready.
Right.
Tell you after we're not recording why I said that.
All right. We discussed Article 19.
Yes, sir.
We're in agreement with the language. The only exception is if there is a death of somebody outside of the new definition of immediate family with proof of death, we would like to use PL time, and that time off request can't be denied. It's the only thing. The one thing. We have a fiance, a friend, a cousin, an aunt, uncle, to attend funeral services. We're just asking that we use sick or vacation leave, and that time off request cannot be denied. It's not gonna come out of the bereavement thing.
Well, I'm kind of thinking of it for the things like, my wife's family can't go, my wife's husband dies. I'm going, at least to keep it back. They got to go. That's not what we're talking about.
What was, so you're saying specifically like a partner?
Just family outside of this definition here, because this immediate family definition doesn't cover everybody. It's,
So extended family.
yes, extended family, so fiance, long-term girlfriend, boyfriend, aunt, uncle, cousin, those are excluded from here. If we have a member that wants to attend funeral service for that lost loved one that's family, although not immediate family, we're fine with it not being included in bereavement time. We're just asking that leave request for annual leave is, it's not.
What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna see what I can find out there, other examples, our next meeting, and after I've spoken more with Michelle here, we'll look to see what we can bring next.
Okay. Sounds good.
In terms of the overall Article 19, what are y'all's thoughts? Or were you
Yeah.
not looking at that?
No, we're good with it.
So everything that I suggested, so I'll recap it then. Then you're in agreement that for the current portion of 19.1 and 19.2 can be stricken. Okay. And then 19.4, move to hours worked and overtime.
Sorry.
And then, what are your thoughts, kind of, again, kind of goes back to what I said about Article 5, moving, do we want to look at that now as part of the MOU, or wait? We talked about leave of absence would be its own article.
My only question is, what changes state law? I mean, we're bound by it, we can't strike or.
Let me get, I will get that specifically, because the PBA attorney and the city attorney were all in here speaking legalese. So that, so I can tell you that article by PBA was TA this morning as a strikeout, so.
Philosophically, we have, and legally, we had no issues, we just don't know where it
I will,
was.
as I said, they were legalizing. I'll get our city attorney to put that explanation in writing and forward it to you.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, we'd have no.
They would have been here this afternoon, but we had originally told there was no, so they had already made plans.
I'm sorry. And Tanya said she's all gone.
She probably would have been here. You know, because who doesn't like Brian? Everybody. Okay, well, I guess I'm,
Poor guy.
they're not. Okay, and then training and tuition, moving the bottom to 19.8 and 19.9. Okay. So then I will work all that up.
Yep.
And again, I want to focus on retirement.
Yes.
So I will not bring that back to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I'll hold it, so that our next meeting, we're only focused on the retirement article. Because there's plenty of time to clean this up.
Yes. Article
29. Oh,
15. Yeah, we'll talk about 15 a little bit too.
Yes, sir.
So, this is a big morale issue for the guys, I'm gonna be honest. I don't see that this is a huge cost impact for the city, but I just wanna make sure that the city understands the ask of the membership. So, we have an abundance of trainees right now. Just checked with Sergeant Harrison, we've had 25 trainees so far this year. We have an abundance of new field training officers that are training these trainees. Trying to teach them how to do everything right, trying to get them an abundance of call volume, which sometimes will lead to late calls, late arrests. When they're late, it's not 15 minutes. Over the course of a 2-week pay period, it's sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 hours where they're in excess of their 84 hours. A little chunk here, a little chunk here, a little chunk here. For instance, Officer Rogers is an FDO. He had an arrest, and which he completed his paperwork. Night shift, his shift ended at 6:30 at night. Night shift was to transport his prisoner. They got busy with their own calls. Officer Rogers and his trainee had to transport out to the branch jail. They got stuck at head count out there. They didn't get out till 9 o'clock at night. So that's just one example of one day of one officer where he's here for in excess of hours for his 84 hours because he has to do his job. He can't just go home. I mean, we can't hold evidence. We can't incomplete reports. We can't just leave the prisoner in the jail. We have a duty to provide for the city and a duty to train these trainees the right way. And sometimes that keeps the guys here late. In addition to that, the supervisors for each shift have to be here to approve those reports, approve DORs at the end of the shift. So, there's a lot of documentation that has to be done that's holding people over right now. And we know it's not every week of the year, but those several weeks where it falls on a holiday pay period, it's straight time for those guys. And like I said, it's just a morale issue.
So let me just respond to that. Just if an employee, if an officer, sergeant is doing what you stated, and it is a non-holiday pay period, they are exceeding the 84, and it is already being paid at time and a half. So I just want to make sure, that it's clear, because I don't want it to be construed that we have officers staying an extra 3 hours and then not already being paid for time and a half if it's, a non-holiday pay period.
Correct.
So,
non-holiday pay
but,
periods, they are being paid time and a half for those holdovers.
So let me do this. Okay, I stated that not next meeting. So how about not next meeting either? I want a report out of payroll while I still have work day. And we'll look at, how many hours that is, because I'll run it just for the 12 holiday periods and only those 12 holiday periods. And I'll bring that so that we can see just for what that impact is. It 3 employees? Is it 40 employees? And we can sit there and come up and I can show you what that would cost.
Okay.
Okay? Is that fair?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, you had said that it's, you know, 15 minutes here and there, but it's a lot more time, so.
And I repeated what I heard, and I do realize that, you know, if you're held over to do a report, that's one thing. If you're held over to, because you made an arrest and had to go, you know, down to Daytona, et cetera, I get that's a totally different outcome. So, but I promise you I will look into that
Okay.
and show you, you know, the numbers so that we're all on the same page.
Thank you.
But, you know, again, I want every employee to be paid fairly and justly.
You guys have anything else?
No?
That's all we have today, John.